Oh my god. Oh, there we go. Thank you. My bad. Thanks for that. Yeah, so basically what I was saying for Bitcoin is, sorry about the mute, but basically what I was saying for Bitcoin is if price were to break above this level over here, then I'm looking for continuation to the upside, okay? But to be honest with you, this is still bearish structure. Basically price couldn't break this previous high over here. So you can see how price is making these lower highs over here and all these lower lows in the market, right? And this is a lower low than this previous low. So this could just be a retrace for price to come lower, right? So there's a good chance that Bitcoin, gets rejected from this previous level and we come lower from this zone, right? I would only really look for longs if we start closing above this zone. But for now, there's not much to do here for Bitcoin. Thanks for telling me about the mute. But yeah, I'm only really looking for shorts today in terms of altcoins, and the reason why is I did go over it, but I was on mute. But basically, if you look at the 4-hour time frame here, for total 3, you can see how price was, couldn't break this previous high over here. Price kept on, creating these lower highs and lower lows. You can see how we broke this structure. We kept breaking the, it's looking quite weak for the altcoin market, right? So there is a couple tokens, we did look at we did take a short on Audi, and I'll go over that in just a sec. But basically, the reason why I'm a little bit more bearish is because on the 1 hour and the 4 hour time frame, you have to start getting back above this level here, because structurally this is still bearish, right? You have this previous high over here. This could just be a double top for continuation to the downside. So for me right now, not really interested in taking longs in terms of the altcoins. More interested in shorting right now. And Audi was one of the trades that we just spoke about. But basically, we got a breakdown on the 1 hour time frame here. And then if you look at the 15-minute as well, also broke this trend line. You can see our price, we were creating these higher highs and higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. But you can see how price literally just couldn't break this previous high over here, right? Not breaking this if we broke this previous high, then this trend line wouldn't be valid because market structure would have changed, right? So, that's kind of with trend line trades, this type of trade that we posted right now. If, for instance, if this were to, close like around about here, like this high over here, if this high would close around about here above this previous wick, then I would actually be looking at like a potential fake out to continuation to the upside. But because we couldn't break that high, it's showing that the sellers are still in control. We broke into internal structure over here to the downside. Everything's kind of pointing that Audi can potentially get a nice move to the downside, potentially to lower levels at like 4.156 and then also 4.26. Okay, so these are the key levels that I was looking at for Audi. We did get a nice little breakdown, but still bearish because we didn't close above that high. Okay, so that's super important for me in order for like when I take these trades on the lower time frames. Although we got the 1 hour close, that was like the main indication. But we'll see what happens here. We already previously just broke down this previous low over here for Audi. I would love to see price actually break this low over here for continuation to the downside. So this is the trade that we did take now. Hopefully it does play out. But yeah, if you guys did just join for Bitcoin, the whole analysis was I'm still quite bearish until Bitcoin actually breaks above this point over here. This would be the indication because the structure right now is still making lower lows and lower highs, right? So if you look at this just as like market structure perspective, every time we take out the previous low, and these retracements are quite intense as well. So you can even see over here, right, where we broke this low over here, this retraced super hard and we got a huge rejection from that level, right? So I'm expecting Bitcoin to get a rejection from this previous level over here. This is a strong zone. Unless we close above this zone, then I'm looking for longs. But until then, still bearish in my opinion for Bitcoin today. So we'll see what happens. But overall, I'm still looking just for shorts today. There is a couple other setups that I want to go over as well within this live. So another setup is SWI. So yesterday we did get a breakdown here on the 4 hour, but I didn't want to take the trade because the daily time frame closed respecting, right? That's something to watch out for. And then if you look at the 4 hour, I just want to see how this holds, because I'm willing to short this, but because on the 4 hour we created a double bottom, structurally it's still holding, right? You can see our price is still holding structure. So for SCI, I'm not really interested in shorting this level just yet, but I'll let you know obviously as time goes on. But yeah, because we are holding structure over here, it's just not valid for shorts. This is the type of token that can bounce harder today if we do actually get a move higher, rather than like Audi, for instance, right? Because Audi actually broke structure to the downside. You want to see, you can see over here we broke internal lows over here. We also broke this previous low over here, and this is a retracement with a double top, potential for price to go lower. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, for me right now, I'm just gonna be in this trade like yesterday, the near setup. Basically, if you guys did miss it, we did take that near trade yesterday. Played out perfectly. It was actually a really nice trade. But I'm hoping that Audi does a similar type of move to the downside. This did take a long time, because we did take it on the 15 to 1 hour time frame. So same thing with Audi. I'm expecting that this might take the whole day potentially to hit OTP. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully this plays out, but there's no guarantees. And then for Ethereum, yeah, so Ethereum's a little bit different, I'll be honest. If we just remove everything here and we look at the daily time frame, let's have a look here and see what's happening. Because what's something to notice here, what I like to do is when you look at a chart, you want to always mark out like the previous day low and high. And the reason why we do that is just because of the fact that these are where the liquidity levels are sitting on the previous day, right? So price tends to actually tap these levels, and potentially you get a breakout, potentially get a reaction at these zones. So these are super strong levels to draw, right? So if you look at Ethereum here on the 4 hour time frame, so this is your previous day high, and you can see how price is respecting this level, right? It's respecting this previous day high on the 4 hour. If you look at the 1 hour as well, you can see that what needs to happen is, because we're at this really key rejection zone, because that's your previous day high, you want to actually, if you're looking for sells, because this is the limit, like the area you would want to look for sells, right? Because then you could play the range to the bottom. Okay, so it's something to always watch out for when you're looking at a chart. And we also have this trend line over here on the 4 hour where we could look at a potential setup a bit later on. So I want to see if there is going to be a reaction here for Ethereum. I'm not really interested in taking longs at the previous day high. You would want to take longs at the previous day low, if you know what I mean. So for me, if for instance on the 1 hour time frame, we get rejected here, we come down, we get a break of trend, then I'll be looking to short back down to previous day low. Okay, so right now I'm just going to be patient and wait to see what happens here, because Ethereum is still holding this level. We didn't break this high over here, so structurally it's still in this bearish move. You would want to see price break this previous high over here, but you can see our price literally didn't. So I'm going to make this a different color, just so we know what's happening. So that's kind of the game plan today. If we look at the 50-minute as well, 50-minute time frame, also showing that we can't break above that level, right? So I would be interested in taking, even on the 15 here, this trend line over here, if price were to somehow come back up here, get rejected, and then come down, look for a break of trend, we look for structures to change, and then we look for sells a little bit later, right? So that's the game plan for Ethereum today. Hopefully we can obviously get a setup here for ETH, but this will only be a little bit later, because of the fact that right now there's still so much room for Ethereum to even take out highs, liquidity sweep, and then come down lower. So this is the key zone over here. You would want to see price obviously break that level in order for continuation to the upside for Ethereum. Okay, so right now not really interested in anything. I will post this in the chat so you guys can have it. And then obviously if a little bit later when structure obviously continues, we would want to see a break of trend over here. So the 15-minute time frame looks pretty clean, for potential break of trend here. So I'll let you know what I do there for that. This was a trade that I was looking at yesterday for XRP. I didn't actually take it, but because the reason why I was looking at this zone was it was a really strong zone for XRP. How price potentially I was looking at price breaking up over here, but we obviously broke the low, so I was looking more to short this level. But for me right now, I'm not really interested in taking it. Yesterday would have been a better setup because you would have had that initial reaction, and then this over here just could be a move higher. But yeah, I'm not really interested in XRP right now. I'm not really going to even speak about it because it's not a trade that I'm willing to look at. Trying to see if there's any other setups. Tau's looking quite strong, I'm not gonna lie. Gold actually got a reaction to the downside. That's near. I mean, near doesn't even look great at all anymore. Yeah, for me right now, it's more about looking for shorts just because of total 3 being below that level, and then also USDT dominance. If we look at USDT dominance, where's USDT dominance? Over here. So if you look at USDT dominance, I was waiting for like a breakout over here, but we didn't obviously get that yesterday. We actually broke down, which is why we saw like a little bit of a pump, but near actually just still continued to fall, which is quite nice in our favor. But this is looking a little bit weaker in terms of USDT dominance. But the thing is right now, because the Bitcoin dominance is so strong, the altcoins can still bleed when Bitcoin like is kind of ranging and pumping, right? So Bitcoin dominance up means that altcoin dominance is obviously going to get shot a little bit, right? So if you think about it, like when Bitcoin dominance goes higher and then altcoins and then Bitcoin kind of just ranges, altcoins have the opportunity to actually go lower, right? Because Bitcoin's not doing anything, but the dominance is people putting more money into Bitcoin and taking profits on alts and shorting alts and whatever. So just be careful. So like the whole like thesis is when Bitcoin dominance pumps, you kind of want to be long on Bitcoin and short on altcoins, right? Regardless of the environment, because you can see like Bitcoin, even like just looking at like on the 15, Bitcoin's getting a nice little pump, but already is breaking that previous low, right? So you can see how they're not really correlating because Bitcoin dominance is pumping, right? So you kind of want Bitcoin dominance to almost range, and then altcoins and Bitcoin will kind of follow. But when it starts pumping at this, the altcoins actually start losing a lot more steam, and you can potentially get. You see, we just broke that low there for Audi. That's beautiful. It's exactly what we want. This is the trade, and you can see Bitcoin is just still looking quite good, right? So it's very interesting to see that. Like even Ethereum, obviously ETH holds a lot more market share than Audi. Audi got absolutely. I mean, remember the other day it pumped like crazy, literally from like $2 all the way to $10. It was absolutely insane. I don't know if you guys remember that. That was literally like last week. Pretty crazy. So. I'm expecting Audi to take the lows. Yeah, there we go. It's exactly what we wanted. It's exactly what we wanted, because the thing is, being below trend is just bearish in my opinion. We just broke that previous 1 hour low. I'm expecting continuation throughout the day here. Once we start hitting TP1, I'd move my stop loss just above this high over here. But right now, I'm just going to keep my stop loss where it is. But overall, it's just looking really weak here for Audi. Okay. So, yeah, that's kind of my thesis for today. I mean, I'm not going to... It is a Friday. It's a public holiday, actually, in South Africa. So, probably not going to trade as much today. But hopefully this trade does play out. This was the, if you're looking at it right now, 20x leverage 14%, around about, 5.5% on a 10x leverage. So, just looking at potentially, I would assume that we tap this level today. I don't think we get a bounce from the zone over here. That would be interesting, but I would assume that we come at least down to 4.263, 262. So we'll see what happens with Bitcoin pumping. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. The only way I go long today is if Bitcoin clears the zone. Until then, I still think we get a rejection from the zone, right? And also something to note is like when Bitcoin's at resistance and then altcoins are like breaking trends. What I've tend to like learn over time is that when Bitcoin reverses from like a potential resistance zone, the altcoins bleed a lot harder as well, because when altcoins are like breaking lows and breaking trend lines like to the downside, and Bitcoin's at resistance and potential reversal for Bitcoin, altcoins literally, especially the Bitcoin dominance going higher, like altcoins absolutely get smashed. So well, that's kind of the game plan. I'm hoping Audi, gets a nice push down. You can see Bitcoin just absolutely pumping, and with altcoins not doing anything because dominance is so hard. Yeah, we'll see what happens here for Bitcoin, but yeah, this is interesting. It's very interesting. It's literally pumping, yeah. But yeah, bias for me today, guys, is still bearish for altcoins until it closes above here. Like, this is your rejection zone for altcoins. So the Audi setup, I think you guys know by now, but I do trade most coins like as individual assets. I never compare a coin to another. Obviously, I sometimes do compare to Bitcoin if dominance is kind of going sideways. But when Bitcoin dominance is pumping so hard, you can't even compare the two. You literally can't. So I do appreciate everyone joining the live today. I hope everyone has a great day, and hopefully this Audi setup plays out and we finish with a green week. But yeah, I appreciate everyone for watching today. I hope you guys have a good day. You guys can watch it. It's been like 20 minutes. There's just no other trades I'm really looking at right now. So I do hope that this Audi trade plays out. But I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys in the group. And if you guys do have any questions, just let me know about this trade. It's pretty decent. You should be up quite a bit right now, even. But I would leave the stop loss where it is, just to give it a bit of room, right? Obviously we did break this previous low on the 50-minute time frame. The 5-minute just looks really weak here, so I'm expecting price to just roll over all the way down over here. Looks pretty decent in my opinion. Alright, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll appreciate you guys. Yeah, sorry Nico, I did start a little bit early, but I hope everyone has a great day, and let's see what Audi does today. Hopefully we get a nice little push. Cheers guys.